My concern is not whether God is on our side, my greatest concern is to be on God's side, for God is always right. Whenever I hear anyone arguing for slavery, I feel a strong impulse to see it tried on him personally. I can see how it might be possible for a man to look down upon the earth and be an atheist, but I cannot conceive how a man could look up into the heavens and say there is no God. You can fool some of the people all of the time, and all of the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all of the time. Character is like a tree and reputation its shadow. The shadow is what we think it is and the tree is the real thing. We are not enemies, but friends. We must not be enemies. Though passion may have strained, it must not break our bonds of affection. The mystic chords of memory will swell when again touched, as surely they will be, by the better angels of our nature. Elections belong to the people. It's their decision. If they decide to turn their back on the fire and burn their behinds, then they will just have to sit on their blisters. My father taught me to work, but not to love it. I never did like to work, and I don't deny it. I'd rather read, tell stories, crack jokes, talk, laugh, anything but work. It is difficult to make a man miserable while he feels worthy of himself and claims kindred to the great God who made him. It is difficult to make a man miserable while he feels worthy of himself and claims kindred to the great God who made him. You can have anything you want if you want it badly enough. You can be anything you want to be, do anything you set out to accomplish if you hold to that desire with singleness of purpose. Stand with anyone that is right, stand with him while he is right and part with him when he goes wrong. Let us have faith that right makes might, and in that faith let us, to the end, dare to do our duty as we understand it. If friendship is your weakest point, then you are the strongest person in the world. You cannot build character and courage by taking away people's initiative and independence. Writing, the art of communicating thoughts to the mind through the eye, is the great invention of the world, enabling us to converse with the dead, the absent, and the unborn, at all distances of time and space. I know there is a God, and that He hates injustice and slavery. I see the storm coming, and I know that His hand is in it. If He has a place and work for me, and I think He has, I believe I am ready. Labor is prior to, and independent of, capital. Capital is only the fruit of labor, and could never have existed if labor had not first existed. Labor is the superior of capital, and deserves much the higher consideration. I have been driven many times to my knees by the overwhelming conviction that I had nowhere else to go. Education does not mean teaching people what they do not know. It means teaching them to behave as they do not behave. Education does not mean teaching people what they do not know. It means teaching them to behave as they do not behave. I like to see a man proud of the place in which he lives. I like to see a man live so that his place will be proud of him. Never do anything for anyone who can just as well do it themselves. It will not do to investigate the subject of religion too closely, as it is apt to lead to infidelity. Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. I be alive that people should fight for what they believe and only what they believe. I will study and prepare myself, and someday my chance will come. The loss of enemies does not compensate for the loss of friends. The things I want to know are in books. My best friend is the man who'll get me a book I ain't read. If you are going to fight, don't let them talk you into negotiating. But, if you are going to negotiate, don't let them talk you into fighting. The will of God prevails. In great contests each party claims to act in accordance with the will of God. Both may be, and one must be, wrong. The way for a young man to rise, is to improve himself every way he can, never suspecting that anybody wishes to hinder him. Resolve to be honest at all events, and if in your own judgment you cannot be an honest lawyer, resolve to be honest without being a lawyer. In the end, it's not the years in your life that counts. It's the life in your years. My dream is of a place and a time where America will once again be seen as the last best hope of Earth. You can complain because a rose has thorns, or you can rejoice because the thorns have a rose. I am slow to listen to criminations among friends, and never expose their quarrels on either side, allow bygones to be bygones, and look to the present and future only. Gold is good in its place, but living, brave, patriotic men are better than gold. The worst thing you can do for those you love is the things they could and should do themselves. When arguing with a fool, first make sure the other person isn't doing the same. No man who is resolved to make the most of himself can spare time for personal contention. Kindness is the only service that will stand the storm of life and not wash out.